my thoughts on how insomnia evolves. Insomnia usually happens after an event that one has experienced, which has provoked an intense amount of fear and anxiety. The brain is trained through its sort of parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system to be alert and acutely aware of danger, fear of danger, whether it be real or perceived. And so consequently, when one experiences an event and shows a tremendous amount of anxiety and tension and fear, then the brain is aware that this necessitates one to be awake. Sounds logical, doesn't it? But the problem is that because of the anxiety and fear, the brain then takes that one step forward and decides that you are frightened and fearful and anxious about staying awake at night being dark, and it then perceives that sleeping is when you are not awake, not alert, and the fear and the anxiety that you showed, even though it's maybe in response to, as in my case, a rather botched sort of surgery, or in the case of war, from experiencing death and then following up that with post-traumatic stress disorder. This all sort of facilitates a watchful brain that is perceiving that you are frightened of being awake, when in fact you then become frightened because you can't get to sleep. It sort of turns it paradoxically, and so you then have to experience large portions of time awake and be relaxed in that scenario, and then your brain slowly relearns that you're not frightened of being awake, you're not fearful of being awake, you're not anxious of being awake, and it will slowly start to relax and allow you to sleep more. Now, the problem is, in day-to-day life, it's quite a stressful place to be, and there are going to be frequent incidents that generate certainly anxiety and possibly fear as well. For example, you might worry about not having a job, so you can't sleep for that. You might worry about your finances. Okay, but this fear response is the key to it. Now, as you experience stress and anxiety in your life, it's almost impossible to avoid it. The brain interprets this and decides that this necessitates you not sleeping at night, and that's where the battle commences. So what you have to do, and this can take a long time because the traumatic event was considerable. If you imagine being in a war zone and seeing half a dozen people murdered by a bomb, then that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. So bearing that in mind, the brain will want to be 110% certain that if it lets you go to sleep, you're okay. My insomnia has been with me now for a few years and it's improved, but my brain is still testing out how I react to certain situations. And the latest little trick that it's pulled, bearing in mind my age, is, and I have a slightly enlarged prostate, is it's testing out my reaction to having to go to the toilet, and my brain is generating more toilet visits, perceiving that this might have something to do, should be tested out rather, on their insomnia paradox. So if any of this has made any sense to you, thank you. This is a movie review. It's the Assassination of Richard Nixon, which was released in 2004. I actually saw it then, but 20 years on. Memory failure. It's directed by Neil Muller. The screenplay is by Kevin Kennedy and Muller, and the cast in the lead role is Sean Penn, who plays Samuel Bick. Naomi Watts is his wife, I believe, Marie Anderson Bick. Then we have Don Cheadle, who plays Bonnie Simmons. Jack Thompson is Jack Jones. And we're going down the cast. I can't recall anybody else. This was well received by Roger Ebert, the late Roger Ebert. He described it as Nixon soars on another riveting performance by Penn. And it's 1974. Bick has a plan, why it's right and righteous, and he's obsessed with injustice. He starts, "My name is Sam Bick," as he makes a tape that he mails to Leonard Bernstein. "I consider myself a grain of sand." He sells office supplies. His marriage is at the end. The bank is not acting on his loan application. Nixon's in the White House. The Black Panthers are being persecuted. It's all part of the same rage coiling within him. Anyway, that's the backdrop to this movie, and let's see how it goes. After the initial statement by Bick, we go back a year, and he's at work, and he's trying to sell his office furniture to this client, and then the initial contact requires no selling prowess, as the guy has worked out exactly what he wants. But then the guy continues to browse and spots a leather chair, and Bick shows that he's rather ill-equipped to deliver the sales spiel, and he's superseded by his boss, Jack Thompson, who takes over the selling duties, so to speak, which doesn't do much wonders to Sam's ego, shown by his facial expressions after being pushed aside. This also suggests perhaps where he stands in this company, and where he feels rather unwanted, and may well be prompting him to make his mark on society. Later, Sam and his colleagues and boss go out for dinner, and Thompson delivers a spiel about the secret of selling, the belief in one's product, and Sam looks on, and you sense that he's asking himself, is this what he wants from his life? Does he believe in what he's doing? And it raises to the viewer a huge question mark. Thompson uses an interesting analogy in relation to Nixon and his promise to end the country's involvement in war, and that promise he didn't deliver on, but he's returned with the same promise and won again the electric over. So Thompson sees this as the power of belief. What you're doing, you can sell anything if you have that power of belief, even if it doesn't have to be carried through. As long as people believe it, that's necessary. But you don't necessarily have to deliver to meet that belief. You just need to deliver the promise. This is how people are conned out of their well drafted, hard earned cash. It's called deceit. After the sales pitch by Jack Jones, played by Thompson, and some Dale Carnegie tapes, we then shift to his family, his marriage, which is in disarray. He makes an access visit and tries to impress his wife, played by Watts, with a little bonus money and a business card with his name on it. She's hardly taken in by this, and his stuttering comment reflects where he's at in this relationship. He clearly wants to turn it round. She has a different view. As he gets ready to leave, as she basically pushes him aside cold, we see the best of his acting. He's insecure, he's really struggling to get to grips with separation, and once again we see what a huge talent this man is in terms of acting prowess. Throughout the movie, Vic narrates to his hero Leonard Bernstein about the perils of trying to get on in society. We also see a prickly dinner with his wife, and it becomes apparent that Vic has spotted a Cadillac outside the house and suspects that Marie, his wife, may have a boyfriend, and this tentative hint sparks her to dismiss and to leave quickly after a few minutes when they meet for lunch. It's clear his marriage is in tatters. We also get repeated glimpses of Nixon on TV making promises, describing situations and how he would deal with them. And clearly the record shows that these were all a pack of lies. So Vic is sort of struggling with this notion of to succeed you've got to lie through your teeth, and if you want to be true to yourself you'll end up with nothing. As part of one of his recordings to Bernstein, Vic makes the statement, slavery hasn't actually disappeared in this country, they've just given it another name, employee. And this encapsulates how he perceives himself in his job, and this negativity that carries through in most aspects of his life. So Sam continues to receive hits, emotional hits. His application with the bank to get a loan to start a business with his mate Bonnie, played by Cheadle, is delayed, which means in effect it's not going to be granted. He tries to push it, and the bank manager is adamant. He then receives confirmation of his divorce, absolute, decree absolute, or whatever it's called in the States, and he continues to feed himself with causes like the fate of the American Indian and the slavery that they are experiencing and have been since the arrival of the white colonial race. It's all just piling up and up and up. The tale moves on. Sam slides out the back door. He's had enough work. His loan is denied, but he thinks, well, before I became a salesman, I worked for my brother, tyre business. I want to do a new tyre business with Ollie. So he thought, rather than wait, the loan hadn't been accepted, he was still waiting. He decided to use his influence of being the brother of his being, let's get this right, he was known to the tyre supplier to his brother because he previously worked there. So he thought, oh, I'll contact them and order some to get my business underway. However, when they were delivered to Holly, they were suspicious and the police got involved, and Holly was allegedly charged with stealing them. His brother faithfully bailed him out and now was confronting Sam about stealing, as he saw it. Sam sees it as getting some help from his brother. Misinterpretation. Two sides to every coin. Yeah, this is how it becomes when your life is going from one bad experience to another. It gets confusing out there. In the scene where his brother confronts Sam about relocating the tyres, or effectively stealing from him, Penn delivers one of his coup de grace, his emotional plea scenes, which is riveting and daunting and all those other adjectives that describe Penn's majestic ability as an actor. So well worth just waiting for that scene in this comparatively average movie, it has to be said. After his departure from work and then his dressing down from his brother about stealing the order for tyres, Vic languishes in his apartment gazing at the TV with constant coverage of Nixon, politics, etc. And then he gets fascinated by this story about some guy in the army who basically steals a helicopter and lands on the White House lawn undetected. And he starts to get this crazy idea with reference to the title of the movie. Is madness now complete? Vic then role plays how he's going to get some men to fly this plane into the White House area. And as I watched it, his actual vocal delivery reminded me as well. It's not too dissimilar to another role he had in a movie called I Am Sam, when he plays a sort of man with learning disabilities, disabilities, that's right, who manages to, against all the odds, retain custody of his young daughter. A magnificent performance by Penn. But here he's using the same sort of vocal delivery to describe vividly the madness taking over his personality. To the sound of Bernstein's music, we then see Vic going on his journey to complete his mission to assassinate the president. And the director creates a sort of a mystique with his use of lack of colour in the shots, which is quite effective. The closing scenes are chaos, really. As Vic has no plan, he's like a bumbling fool, but he has a weapon. He manages to get on board this aeroplane and frighten the hell out of people. And failure is inevitable.